everyone, it's Jim, it's Amadeus, and welcome to our final show of 2023. How about that? Gonna have some fun today. Lots of stuff to talk about last night. You cashed some tickets, my buddy.
Yeah, definitely had the Rams -4 as my NFC game of the year. I lost with the total on your South Florida game, but if you were watching the show, you knew I was on South Florida as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you got one and you lost one on that one, huh? That's okay. It did it average out, or did you okay? Was it okay thing?
Well, I had a
Uh,
4-3 day in all sports, so
okay, that's not bad. That's not bad at all. So
still a profitable day.
yeah, absolutely. All right, well, let's jump real quick into what we got going on this weekend, and we'll talk about. Let's talk about. We got tonight Georgia Tech against UCF in Tampa. It's a Gasparilla Bowl. Game is on ESPN West Durham. Boy, there's a name I haven't seen in a long time. And Tim Hasselbeck on the call. West Durham is the voice of um, it was the voice, I should say, of University of North Carolina basketball for many, many years, and then jumped over to be the voice of Georgia. So West Durham is got Georgia Tech against UCF. The game being played in Tampa. I can tell you, UCF travels well to Tampa. It's not that far, so I'm quite sure that there's going to be a massive UCF crowd versus a Georgia Tech team that you know was kind of average in the ACC, not necessarily above average. And then UCF didn't catch fire until the end of the season from that standpoint. So it should be an interesting game.
Yeah, UCF comes in as a 6-point favorite here. Personally, this is not a game I love, so I won't be
Right.
on it myself tonight. But yeah, not a big night for me tonight, but I think it'll be a big weekend for sure.
100%. Yeah. Uh, there's a guy who's going to play quarterback for UCF, John Trice Plummer. And, he was out for most of the year. He had been hurt the year last year. And so he came in and, was the quarterback at UCF. Was very successful last season. But in their first season in the Big 12, he didn't get much playing time because he was injured and didn't get back until late. John Rice Plummer is a kid who, keep an eye on him. He's someone who might show up perhaps for another year at UCF. If he doesn't, then he could be. He's one of those guys who you can take a. He's kind of like some of these kids that we see taken late in the NFL draft that show up as decent, as really good backup quarterbacks, and in some cases even truly good quarterbacks. So you never know. But John Rice Plummer has got the arm to do it. He's got wheels. So keep an eye out for John Rice Plummer. Tomorrow, Saturday, Troy and Duke. That's the ABC game. Tom Hart and Cole Kubrick. I won't be paying any attention to this game, but if you want to watch it, go ahead. Any interest on that one?
Yeah, not a big fan of this game either. There's not going to be too many bowl games I'm on this weekend. So
Yeah, it's not a big one. The Camellia Bowl, Arkansas State, Northern Illinois. That game, by the way, if anybody wants to know where the Camellia Bowl is played, it's in Montgomery, Alabama. ESPN is your outlet for that. Courtney Lyle and Hudson Matson on the call. Armed Forces Bowl. That's a game being played in Fort Worth. Okay, James Madison. This actually is an interesting game because of the two teams. James Madison versus Air Force. And you know what? If you're going to watch a football game tomorrow in college, that might be a good one. Not necessarily to bet on, but just to watch. Because those are two pretty good teams.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this game though, just because like half of the James Madison team has hopped into the transfer portal,
Oh, okay.
including their starting quarterback. Probably a big reason is because their coach has jumped ship. He
Right.
was I forget who he was hired by, but yeah, Kurt Signetti is gone now, so he won't be sticking around for this game. And yeah, it's one of those where I think the season they had and
Mm-hmm.
just the way they couldn't compete in the Sun Belt Championship when they
Right.
wanted to, is a big reason why these kids are probably leaving. So
Mm-hmm.
great job NCAA on ruining, some of these small schools
On
with your
blowing up the James Madison, yeah.
yeah, on
Um,
these dumbass rules you guys have. But
right.
yeah, this and Air Force, this is a team that they struggled a lot down this
Yeah.
stretch
On the stretch,
without
yeah.
without their quarterback Zach Larrier there.
Right.
So this is one. Yeah, I don't really know if I'll be betting on this one.
No, that's ABC, Armin Shmeriff, I'm sorry, and Andre Ware, who, by the way, is a very good analyst. He's worth watching. Here's one that we all love, but I'm not going to be watching it, and probably um, Amadeus isn't because it's on the Smurf turf. It's the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Georgia State and Utah State. In this one, got to give Utah State the nod in this one. Boise's not that far from Utah, so Chris Carter and Mark Heisek is on the call for that one. It's ESPN. It's 3:30. It's the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. So there you go on that one.
That's one I don't think I'll be doing
Yeah,
because of the field hurting my
the
eyes.
blue turf alone. Yeah. The 68 Ventures Bowl, I have no idea what 68 Ventures is, but I'm sure they're a fine company. Anyway, that's 7 o'clock on ESPN. Taylor Zanor, Matt Sitcom on the call. South Alabama taking on Eastern Michigan. Tough time for Eastern Michigan. This game, by the way, in case you want to know, I'm sure everybody did know, but if you didn't, it's being played in Mobile, Alabama. South Alabama is about a 20-minute drive. So, I'm just saying, probably a pretty raucous South Alabama crowd down there that Eastern Michigan's going to have to face.
Yeah, there's two of those like that. I'm pretty sure. Yes,
Yeah.
South Alabama is in Mobile. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
And
pretty close. Yeah. So I said it's 20 minutes from the stadium. So, yeah.
yeah, well, their home stadium says it's in Mobile technically. So
Right.
and yeah, Troy, and obviously Troy and Duke are in the
Mm
Birmingham Bowl,
hmm.
so
Right.
that's going to be another big home advantage for the
Right.
Alabama school.
Yeah, they take a bus there. No problem. The game probably of the night on ABC. It's a 7:30 kickoff. Sean McDonough, Greg McElroy. Obviously, you can tell that that's the game. It's two teams that had a tough time of it. Northwestern, which had the biggest turnaround, tied with South Florida for the biggest turnaround in going from losses to wins, is facing Northwestern. This game's the Las Vegas Bowl. Obviously, it's being played in Vegas at the stadium there that houses the Raiders. So Utah travels really well. I think Northwestern, any reason to get to Vegas is probably a good reason. So Utah and Northwestern, that might, if you're going to watch some college football, that might be a game as well to check out.
Yeah, that's a very interesting game just because Northwestern was a very weird team this year. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
kind of left them for dead when they had
Yeah.
that scandal and the
Yeah.
head coach had to step down. And sure enough, here they are at 7-5. And if anything, their offense has been great in their last
Mm-hmm.
few games of the season. And on Utah, you got the complete opposite, right? They have no
Yeah.
offense, but a great defense. So
Yeah.
this is going to be, and obviously, Northwestern coming from the Big Ten should have a good defense. It hasn't
Mm-hmm.
shown in their last few games, but this has the potential to be a very interesting game for sure.
Yeah, it might be fun. Then at 10:30, John Schlereth and Orlando Franklin drew the good straw on ESPN. It's the Hawaii Bowl, so they're going to be playing in Hawaii. By the way, my hope is that stadium won't actually fall down while people are in it. God, it's just a mess. Coastal Carolina and San Jose State. It's a long trip for Coastal to get to Hawaii, and San Jose, not too bad. But it if you got nothing else to watch, that might be, insomnia might be your best bet on that one. So that's our college footballs for the weekend, my friends. So nothing from there into Tuesday. Let's pop into week 16. You had a good night with the Rams. The Rams came through and dealt New Orleans. What we said. It's not necessarily a knockout punch for New Orleans, but it definitely would have been a knockout punch for the Rams. But you like the Rams, and the Rams came through.
Yeah, definitely. It was a big game for both teams. More so the Rams, because obviously the Saints have that second avenue in the playoffs. But yeah, this is a huge game. Not only for the Rams, but for the Seahawks as well, because obviously with the Rams beating them twice this year, they have that over them, and this is one where that head-to-head might come into play. If the Rams and the Seahawks finish with the same record for the wild card, it's going to be the Rams who go through. So that was a massive game for them. They looked good. They looked dangerous once again. I know it was a one-score game, but let's be real. If you watched that game, you knew the Rams were dominant the entire time. There was not a time they were trailing. I think at one point it was 10-7, and they quickly made that 17-7 before the half, and then they pulled away, and that was a 30-7 game before the Saints started to claw their way back. So for sure, I've been hot in NFL the last week now. I had the rough Saturday, but Sunday I went 2-0-1 or 3-0 depending on the site. Plus I had the cashed my total of the year in the NFC on the under on the Monday night game with Seahawks and Eagles, and now coming off the NFC game of the year with the Rams. So it's going to be a big NFL weekend for me for sure. We got 2 games on the Saturday, obviously a ton of Sunday, and even 3 games on Monday. So what a jam-packed weekend.
Let's pop to tomorrow afternoon, 4:30. This is definitely a knockout game. Whoever loses this, is gonna be packeted in. And the reason is because of the fact that it's an AFC North game. It's Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. Noah Eagle, Todd Blackledge on the call. Little sidebar on that one. That was a call. Al Michaels, in his deal with Amazon, is allowed to. When he left NBC, he became what they called an announcer emeritus, meaning that they could use him if they so chose. They didn't have to, but they could, which they could use him on, the Olympics or whatever that Al had done. Anyway, this was one of the games that Al was potentially scheduled to come back for, but he's not. They're going to go with Noah and Todd all the way through, which includes the playoffs. So Noah and Todd get the Pittsburgh and Cincinnati game, and this is a knockout game. This is definitely a knockout game.
Yeah, 100%. It's a knockout game. Big divisional rivalry here.
Right.
Cincinnati going into the Steelers, and this is the Bengals they were left for dead when Joe Burrow got injured, and here we are. They got a better record than the Steelers coming into this game. It's a very interesting one just because, Jamar Chase is out for the Bengals, but the Steelers, Kenny Pickett's still out. They've looked like a disaster the last few weeks. Last week was a very weird game. They played on the Saturday, and they came out with a 13-0 lead, and then ended up getting 20-something unanswered points scored on them.
Well, they didn't. They went up 13-0, and then for the remaining 44 minutes of the game, they didn't even come close.
Yeah, it was ridiculous for them. So this is a huge game now. The one thing that's interesting here is the Bengals. I believe they're 0-4 or 1-4 in the division, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they have not had success in their division games this year, and those were with Burrow at the beginning of the
Right.
season. So maybe they'll have more success with Browning here.
Maybe.
But yeah, definitely not the best environment to go into, especially when the Steelers still have the chance to make the playoffs. So we'll see if Tomlin whips something up for this one with Mitchell Trubisky. We'll just have to see.
You know, Tomlin after last week's game, in typical Tomlin style, he does not hold back. Said we played terrible on offense. We played terrible on defense. Our special teams were average. Other than that, we had a great day. So Mike being Mike didn't hold back, and when asked about Mitchell Trubisky, he said he's a professional quarterback. We had wide open wide receivers. You figure it out. So not exactly what one would call a ringing endorsement for his quarterback there in that one. It's possible that I don't know. What's the name of the kid that's their third, the number three guy who was the backup last year to Pickett before
Mason
Trubisky showed up?
Rudolph.
I wouldn't be surprised if Mason Rudolph started this game. He came in at the end of that game last week, so I wouldn't be surprised. It's a Christmas weekend. You got to have Rudolph on your team, right?
Yeah, well, he'll definitely be on the team as
No,
as a
I'm sorry. That's
backup.
true.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see because he was a guy where Tomlin, I think, was asked about him 2 weeks ago. What are the odds that you give Rudolph a shot? And he was like, absolutely not. There's no way in hell. And here we are last week, throws him in the last bit of the game. Now that might just have been to give Trubisky a break, right? Like when it's a
Well,
similar thing
yeah,
in
could be.
it's a similar thing in hockey, right? Like when your goalie gives up 4 goals, it's
Right.
not a
You
matter
pull
of
them.
yeah,
Right.
you don't bench him for the season, but you get him
No.
out of there because it's not his
It's
night.
no. It's the same thing in baseball, right? You got a guy gives up 6 runs in the second inning, and you're like, this is not, let's get him out of here before he gets hurt. So could very well be.
Exactly.
Let's move on to the night game. Which it's a Peacock only game. So in the United States, I don't know. Where's it on in Canada?
Always TSN. They have a monopoly over
Oh,
all
okay.
sports in Canada. There's no competition up here.
So
They
Rogers
own
doesn't have anything, huh?
everything. Nope, there's no. It's a monopoly. It's a sports monopoly
Okay,
in Canada.
fair enough. Well, then TSN's your place to watch it. Get yourself a VPN and you can stream it. Who knows? Anyway, this one is Buffalo at the Chargers. It's a Peacock game, and they've got the number one crew, Tarico and Collinsworth, on this game. Uh, Perhaps because it's a nice time for Mike and Chris to go to LA. So big game for Buffalo, I would say. Yeah, the Chargers I think are packed in, but you know I think Buffalo, if they're gonna, I mean Buffalo still has an outside chance to win the East, especially given the fact the schedule that they have versus the schedule Miami has.
Yeah, definitely a much bigger game for the Bills here, especially with the way they've been playing the last few weeks. They look
Hmm.
like one of the more dangerous teams in the NFL. The Chargers, I really don't know what to say about that. I think Keenan Allen's going to be out now this
Hmm.
week. Obviously, we're getting Easton Stick as the starter.
Right.
Easton Stick was, I mean, apparently he won, what, 4 national championships at
Right.
North Dakota State.
Right.
So he's obviously he's a decorated college quarterback. But yeah, we saw him. He didn't look terrible the first game he was
Right.
thrown in. Last week, not so much, but the 63 to 21.
Yeah. Oops. Yeah.
Yeah, now that might have been more so the Raiders because they're coming off the 3-0 loss, but
Right. Yeah. Pitched a
yeah,
shutout. Yeah.
yeah, this is one where I'm with you. I the Chargers are technically not eliminated from the playoffs yet, but what do you really have to play for here? Everybody's injured. You fired your head coach. Do you get up for this game, or is the season already over in a lot of these guys' minds, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, we'll have to see how it pans out. But I don't. I'm not. I wouldn't. I wouldn't bet the farm on the Chargers in this case. Let's go to Sunday. Let's go to CBS on Sunday first. Cleveland and Houston. Ian Eagle, Charles Davis on that call. Um, I, I think. If they're at Houston. Houston has played even. They don't have CJ Stroud. Cleveland has the elder statesman at the quarterback post. If they get a good Joe, if it's good Joe Flacco day, with the defense that they have, perhaps Cleveland goes in there and steals that one off of Houston.
I think this is going to be a tougher game for Cleveland for sure.
Mm-hmm. Houston's
Obviously,
defense isn't bad.
yeah. Well, I mean, Houston in general has been a very surprising
Overachieving,
team.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think from what we saw last week, that was a big win for them to go into
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee and get that. That was huge on the
Right.
season. Yeah, Stroud is out here, but they're going to have a competent starter in Case Keenum. And Case Keenum has been in this, say what you want about
Oh
him.
man.
He's been in this position before where
Yeah.
he's had to lead a team to the playoffs, and he has done so. Now, he fizzled out in the playoffs, obviously, but he got the team there, and that's right where the Texans. They're not. The Texans are in a similar situation as the NFC South now because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, they're going for the wild card spot, but the Jaguars are now 8-6, and guess what? There's a 3-way tie for this AFC
Yep.
South with the Colts and Jags. So yeah, this is a huge home game, and I wonder if there's a little animosity on some of these Texans players toward Cleveland, just because that's where Deshaun Watson went. So
Right.
it'll be interesting if they come with a little extra motivation here.
I think the motivation would be that they would want to give Cleveland, you know, some flowers for taking Deshaun from the team. But look, both these teams. This is we have it. We've already said we have a number of knockout games. This is clearly a knockout game. Houston at home. I said I thought Cleveland. I mean, you've got two guys in quarterbacks, in Keenum and in Flacco, who are smart. Okay, they may not be the starters and the players they once were, but at the end of the day, they have been through the wars, and they've been on good teams and they've been on bad teams, and they just know how to keep from screwing up. They know how to manage a game, I guess is the best way of putting it, and that's important. That's absolutely important. So I think this might be a good game from a standpoint of if either Keenum or Flacco can avoid making the big mistake, because I think that's where it's going to end up in this case. I don't think it's going to be I think it's going to be a close game, and I think whoever doesn't make the mistake, the costly turnover, is probably going to win this game.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's tough to see it be settled by more than a score.
Yeah, Seattle, Tennessee. That's another knockout game. Andrew Cardone, Tiki Barker, Matt Ryan on the call for Seattle at Tennessee. Tennessee, Seattle coming to play Tennessee. Again, it's another long trip for Seattle coming into Tennessee. Any word on Geno for this week?
Not 100% sure. I think he's still listed on the injury report. I
I
don't know
saw
if
him on the
he's
injury report. I just wondered if you saw anything that where he got upgraded, maybe to that a possible starter or something like that. Obviously, they proved that they don't. They can win without him. So, but that was at home. We'll have to see how they play on the road
Yeah, so it
against
says
Tennessee.
Gino is probable to go on Sunday.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see. Here's a game that family and friends will be watching. Spiro Ditas and Adam Archuleta must have upset somebody at CBS because they got the Washington Jets game. So clearly, there was a they got the last draw on where to be. Uh, I have zero interest in this game. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I mean, both teams have already been eliminated. We've talked a lot about the Commanders, throwing in the towel weeks ago.
Right.
Yeah,
This could be
the
the last
Jets.
game for Ron Rivera.
Yeah, and the Jets, another one that where the season is shot. You've been eliminated. Now you
Hmm.
got Rodgers coming back, practicing as what a consolation, getting ready for next
I don't
year.
know what
So,
he's doing. Yeah, I mean, I guess he's just he's in the neighborhood. Figures you might as well work out with the guys. Yeah, he's not gonna play. So there's that. And I mean, Washington. We said the big news in Washington is they're gonna fix up the stadium while they're waiting to get their new one. Um, the Jets doesn't even have that. I mean, they can't talk about upgrades at Meadowlands. So they got nothing to talk about. So anyway, the late game on CBS is a very important game. Jacksonville at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay comes in, playing well. They're on a roll. Jacksonville, not so much.
yeah, so my future bet definitely thanks the Rams for what they did to the Saints last night because I feel a lot better going into this game. I
Right.
don't think the Bucks are gonna beat the Jags. I know they're at home, but the Jags are still a very good team, and
Mm-hmm.
I think they've had a tough stretch the last few games, but they've also been playing like some very good teams, like at
Mm-hmm.
home to the Ravens. They had the 49ers in the last
Mm-hmm.
month, so you're asking for a lot for them to win those kind of games. Yeah, they didn't look great last week against the Ravens, but they were right in that game, and we,
Yeah, they
we
were.
talked we talked about it a lot. So, they had some missed field goals in the first half. So yeah,
Well, we
this
talked
is
about
one.
Doug Peterson and what and Jacksonville, that more often than not in that losing streak that they were having, that the Jacksonville was beating Jacksonville as much as the opponents were.
Yeah, and this is going to be one, I think, where Jacksonville, now that there's a three-way tie for first in the AFC South, they're going to have the fire lit under their ass for this
Mm-hmm.
game. Where the Bucks, coming off that big win in Green Bay that nobody thought
Mm-hmm.
they were gonna go in there and win, and now you just saw the Saints get destroyed pretty much by the
Mm-hmm.
Rams. I know the score was a lot closer than the game, but yeah, after seeing that, maybe you're a little fat and happy if you're the Bucks
Mm-hmm.
and you're saying, oh, okay, you know what, this isn't a must win because if as long as we beat the Saints next week, we've
Right.
won the division. That's the only
Mm-hmm.
game they're focused on. So could they be overlooking Jacksonville here at home? They definitely could be because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't really matter if they beat Jacksonville here or not. It's that game against the Saints that decides the NFC South next week. So
Mm-hmm.
this is, I mean, obviously, if they win this game, it really does help them because I guess they could lose to the Saints. They still have that one win, and then they play the Panthers in the last
Right.
week. But I have a feeling they could be looking ahead to that Saints game here. And yeah, the Jags definitely got to be feeling the pressure now that you had like a 4-game lead in the division that you've blown. And now you're not just fighting with one team, you're tied with two teams. So it's going to
Mm-hmm.
be, and you're not even guaranteed because the AFC is so strong, you're not even guaranteed a wild card spot with that kind
Mm-hmm.
of record because everybody in the AFC is 8-6.
Right. The entire conference. Yes. Um, the I don't the I think what would what would excite me, from the Tampa Bay side is the play of Baker Mayfield. I think that Baker is found. They've got a new offensive coordinator. It's been, they've been working on, working this whole thing out all season, and all of a sudden it looks like they've found, okay, this is the what, this is the magic that we need to keep, to keep winning. So, I think that I think this is where Baker Mayfield is saying, you know what, a lot of people have doubted me. Here's my chance to just, roll out these 3 home games with 3 wins and go gliding into the playoffs. And oh, by the way, the possibility of who are they going to get in the playoffs at this moment looks like Philadelphia.
Yeah, well, I don't know if that bodes well for them. Obviously, this is a bit of a different Eagles team than we saw at the
Right.
beginning of the year, but the Eagles did go into Tampa Bay and just
Oh
run
yeah,
it down their
yeah,
throat. So that'll be not the best matchup for the Bucks, in my opinion.
yeah. Well, I mean, we'll have to see how it plays out. I mean, for all we know, they won't play each other, but they could. And right now, that's what it would look like. Indianapolis at Atlanta. The Falcons not playing well at all, and Indianapolis, we just said. I mean, they still are very much in the hunt, uh, potentially for that South Division title. So, big game for the Colts.
Yeah, definitely another huge game for the Colts here. They've been killing it with Shane Steichen. And the Falcons, they're coming off that 9-7 loss
Ugh,
to the Panthers,
in a
where
rainstorm in Carolina. Yeah,
you lose to a team that didn't score a touchdown, and you scored a touchdown, which probably adds a little salt to the wound. But
there you go.
I think this awkward silence is what the Falcons deserve at this point of the season. So we'll just leave this game.
Leave it at that. Yeah. Speaking of awkward silence, Green Bay heads into Carolina. Chris Myers and Robert Smith on the call for that one. Carolina got the win, as you just said, against Atlanta last week. The Pack, fell out against the Bucks. If Green Bay has any, hope at all of making, the postseason, they got to go into Carolina and win.
Yeah, you got an angry Packers team. Obviously lost at home last week. The Panthers coming off that win. Personally, I don't think the Panthers are winning another game for the rest of the season, but I'm not a big fan of Jordan Love. I don't think he's the answer for the Packers. I've said this all year about the Packers. I don't think that they're a great team. I don't think they belong in the wild card.
Right.
That all being said, if Jordan Love can't go out there and beat this Panthers team on the road, then
Right.
he's never going to hear the end of it about how he's not the franchise quarterback for
That's
the
right.
Packers.
So there you go. Game of the weekend, maybe Dallas at Miami. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson. Miami, who's had played outstanding football all season long, now takes on a Dallas team. I'm not going to say this is must win for either of these teams, but if Miami wants to hold the first place and stay away from the Buffalo situation, because they've got a killer schedule, they play the Ravens next week. Dallas, Dallas, as we said, has had trouble on the road. It'll be an interesting game. Kevin Burkhardt, Greg Olson. It's the number one game on Fox. In the late window there. So those two teams will battle it out down in Miami.
Yeah, definitely the game of the Sunday, because obviously we have got Ravens 49ers on Monday. But
Right,
yeah, that's
sure.
that's going to be a very good game for sure.
Mhm.
Can the Dolphins finally beat a team with a winning record?
Yeah.
We'll
And
have to find
can
out.
Dallas go on the road and beat a team that they that they're going to have to try to beat? I mean, the quality of the team is that they're going to play in the playoffs Miami's meets that quality test.
Yeah, can they beat a good team? Period.
Yeah, both of them. I mean, basically, that's what it boils down to, right? I mean, can they beat a team that's better than 500? Um, we'll see. Dallas has got that defense. I'll be interested in seeing how Dallas matches up against that the Dolphins' speed on the wide receiver situation.
Yeah, definitely. I hear Tyreek Hill and uh, Devon
Waddle,
a chain or Akane, however you say his name,
yeah,
will both be back. So
yeah. Well, I was told last week that they held they held they held back on bringing those guys back against the Jets because they didn't feel that they needed them. So they kind of gave them a week off to be in the right space to play Dallas.
yeah, they didn't need them. They were absolutely right. They were
Yeah.
looking ahead to this game, but you're gonna see them in this one for sure.
Oh yeah. It's picture day in Miami. Everybody's gonna be there. Arizona, your Cardinals are in
We don't need to
Chicago.
talk about this game.
Okay, Kevin Kugler, Mark Sanchez. That's all you need to know. Interesting thing on
Friends and family game there.
friends and family, right? Friends and family. The If you happen to be in Houston, and I know we have some fans that are down in that area, you're not going to get to see a late game, okay? Because Houston is blocking, which they have the right to do, the 4 o'clock game, which would be Dallas and Miami, in in town. So sorry, Houston, you don't get to see any late games on Fox. So there you go, or CBS. So no 4 o'clock games for you. Um, as Seinfeld fans know, it's like the soup Nazi. No soup for you. You don't get to see them. So there you go. They're using the blackout rule, which you're allowed to do. Most teams don't, to be honest, but they have the right to. If they're playing at home, they have the right to black out a game that either precedes them, in other words, head to head with them, or they can black out the late game, and they're choosing to do that. So there you go. Alrighty, Christmas Eve, which is the Sunday late game, the 8 o'clock game, is actually on the NFL Network this time around. So it's not on NBC. NBC has the Peacock game, which is on Saturday night. So it was a flip flop. The Sunday game went to NFL Network, and that's New England and Denver. So one team going nowhere, New England. Denver still in the hunt. Richie Eisen, Kurt Warner on the call for NFL Network.
Yeah, here we are with a another clunker, and I won't be watching this game personally.
All right, I don't understand this. I'm sorry. I'm getting totally flummoxed on this. Vegas, Kansas City is the game, 1 o'clock game on Christmas Monday. All right. Jim Nance and Tony Romo are doing Christmas game on on Monday from Kansas City. I guess they're there to see if Taylor Swift shows up for a Sunday. I mean, is there any reason why Vegas and Kansas City warrants a national audience on Monday?
No, not really.
I would have flexed the Dolphins game.
Yeah, I asked a few people about that earlier, but good old friend of the show, Rye Cape, said that this isn't a flex week in the NFL. I guess because it's the
Yeah, no, it was a flex week because the Tampa Bay Jacksonville game got flexed from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock.
Yeah, well then I'll be honest with you because my question was why are we getting stuck with the Patriots and the Broncos on the Sunday night? So,
Well, they can't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I have no idea. Maybe I don't know.
I
Maybe
guess because it's a
well,
divisional game.
this was actually scheduled. You know, these games were scheduled at the beginning of the season, so they they could be flexed back. You know, somebody could have been flexed in that position, but maybe because it was Christmas Day, they chose not to flex anybody.
Yeah, it could be. It's also divisional matchup. I guess
Right.
the Raiders are coming off that 63-point win. Maybe they figured people want to see that offense more. I guess, and obviously the Chiefs are the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
You could say the same thing about the Giants and the Eagles. Obviously, the
You
Giants have
could.
nothing to play for, and the Eagles haven't looked great down the stretch. But again, the Eagles are similar to the Chiefs, where the Eagles are the Eagles, and I guess you're
Mm-hmm.
getting cutlet fever with the Giants right now. So
Right.
that does warrant a national,
It must be.
audience.
Yeah. And DeVito. Yes. So there you go. And then the game that on Christmas night that all the children will be, in their new pajamas that they got for the holiday. And as Baltimore travels out west to about 20 miles south of San Francisco, where they will play in Levi Stadium, the 49ers and the Ravens, a rematch of the Harbaugh Bowl in the Super Bowl a few years back when Joe Flacco led Baltimore to a win, and Jimmy Harbaugh was the head coach back then.
Yeah, going to be a very exciting game between the two best teams in the NFL. So
Hmm.
that'll definitely be one to watch. Make sure you circle the Monday game, Monday night at least.
Yeah, definitely worth watching. And so that's basically where we are at this point in time as far as who's going where. We'll know a lot more after this weekend as we move to to the to the holidays as to what's going on next week. Of course, as you said, the Sunday game with uh, the the uh, the Bucks in New Orleans. I had a mental block there for a second to remember what we were talking about. That'll be a key game next week, and there'll be a few. We talked about the Dolphins have a tough matchup next week. So yeah, I mean nobody's having an easy glide to the playoffs if you're not the 49ers and the Ravens. You know,
Yeah,
other than that, everybody else is steeped in a very very difficult situation with regard to what are they going to do in the postseason.
yeah, definitely.
So it'll be interesting, that's for sure, and we will see very soon how it plays out. But anyway, all right, my friend, you've got some very important information on what's going on with following you whilst we are not here next week. But that doesn't mean you're not, and that doesn't mean you're not going to be putting plays up for people to take advantage of for this weekend, as well as for all the days leading up to New Year's Day.
Yeah, you can always make sure you check out my premium plays. They're up every day. You can get them at bigal.com,
Hmm.
pickadvisor.com, and theinsidersroom.com. All those links are in the description below. And yeah, I'm really hot in NFL all season.
Hmm.
I'm doing great in NBA and college basketball right now. I'm gonna have tons of picks up for the weekend. I know that college basketball has a bit of a break after Saturday, but
Right.
yeah, there'll be tons of NFL and NBA up for sure, as well as college basketball tomorrow, and good old soccer picks as well. Can't forget the plays on the pitch. So make sure you
Boxing
go.
Day. Yeah.
Exactly. So make sure you go check out my premium plays. Like I said earlier, coming off a 4-3 day, and we're looking to have another big winning weekend.
Well, and by the time we get back, there'll be some seriously important college football games being played.
Yeah, it'll be even in the NFL. We'll be down to
Mm-hmm.
the nitty and gritty with the really. We'll know exactly who needs to do what teams it's look like we're gonna have in the playoffs, and then as you said, the college football playoffs will basically be here. So yeah, it'll be a great new year once January comes.
One quick final thought, and we shift down to baseball. Uh, it looks like Otani did a very good job of recruiting, as the Dodgers signed a 12-year deal with Yamamoto. So you've got the two biggest stars from Japan playing on the same team in Los Angeles, at least for the next decade.
Plus Tyler Glass now.
Yes, I'm not sure that people in Japan know Tyler, but they will.
They're gonna know him.
They're gonna
now.
get to know him. Yeah, they're gonna get to know him.
The Dodgers are stacking some serious pressure on themselves to win the World Series this year. That's for sure. They have spent. I saw over $1 billion has been spent on these guys.
Well, on those two guys.
Yeah, just on these three.
Yeah.
You can include Glass now in there.
That's true. Yeah, he's got the cheapest of the contracts at 120 some million dollars. So, poor guy. He's he signs a contract where he's at 120 million. He's like the fourth highest paid player on the team. So it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. But 325 for 12 years. So that's not a bad deal. So we'll see. I know a lot of Mets fans that are going crazy. And I guess, here's the funny part. People keep telling me that the Yankees have money, and I believe them. And the Mets have money. Clearly, the Mets must have Confederate money because nobody wants to take it. And I don't know what the Yankees are doing. They're not. I do believe that when Otani signed with the Dodgers, that probably locked Yoshimoto into Los Angeles, because I really think those two guys who played together on the in the World Baseball Classic wanted to be on the same team in the Major League Baseball. So I think that probably, if anything, the signing of Otani to play in Los Angeles was a huge advantage to getting Yamamoto to Los Angeles.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, you think there'll be some pressure? They got the two number one and number two guys on the board in in the free agent signing deal. That really doesn't happen very often.
Yep, got to start having some playoff success now.
Well, I mean, playoffs they can do. It's winning in the World Series that is their problem. Getting to the World Series.
Last few years they haven't been able to get to the World Series.
That's right.
Teams in their way.
You spend $1 billion on two guys. You better learn quickly how to get there.
Can't be losing to the Braves and the Diamondbacks in the playoffs.
Nope, that will not be acceptable. And so we'll see how Dodger Blue looks on these guys. But it's going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be interesting. I know. It's Giant fans are bemoaning the fact that they couldn't get one of the two guys. But I really think that wherever Otani landed, that was going to be a place that Yamamoto was going to be seriously considering.
Yeah.
So, it's good to have one of your buds around, and he's definitely got it. All right, let's say goodbye and happy holidays to everybody. Hope everybody has a safe, happy New Year, healthy New Year to everybody, and Merry Christmas. And we hope that everybody, gives the gift of Happy Kwanzaa. Thank you very much. any other potential holiday out there that you celebrate? By all means. When did we decide Festivus was?
I totally forget, but I was
Okay,
gonna I
well,
was gonna mention it.
If you're a Seinfeld fan, you know when Festivus is, and if
I
we
was
missed it, we
definitely gonna
apologize.
mention we had to get the
You
Happy
know,
Festivus in there.
right? Happy Festivus, to everybody. So anyway, give the gift of Amadeus' picks. Always a good stocking stuffer, and you can that will give you more money to spend in the after Christmas sales. So there you go from that standpoint. So anyway, be safe, everybody. Enjoy your holiday, and Amadeus and I will return on the second of the year, and the first or the second. What is it? The first or the second that you'll be back?
Whenever whenever the Monday is, I guess.
Yeah, that would be the Monday is the Monday is New Year's Day.
Oh yeah, maybe let's do the second.
Yeah, so we'll be back on the second. So there you go. But that doesn't mean, because there's a lot of very important football being played on Monday, that you cannot get Amadeus's Monday picks.
Exactly.
So there you go. So we'll be back to be able to react to what happened on Monday, on Tuesday, January 2nd. Okay, everybody. So circle that date. We hope you have a wonderful holiday season, and until then, be well. We'll see you on the other side in 2024. Be well. Take care.